Hello, I'm Carol Bell, the Director of Child Development at OCAC Head Start. Teresa Dickey, the Director of Family Community Partners, is behind the scene controlling the technology. We are here today to talk about common errors in in-kind bubble sheets. Head Start has a statutory requirement that 20% of their total costs are generated by the Head Start program. This may be generated through donations or volunteers and includes the homework sent home each week to families. Each year, auditors are required to assess internal control and compliance. This includes looking to see if we made our match, if the items listed are allowable, and if we appropriately valued and documented our match sources. Over the past few months, you may have had some of your bubble sheets returned to you. This quick video is designed to share some common errors with you and talk about how you can make some simple corrections. Prior to sending homework bubble sheets home, it is important that we establish with parents from the very beginning the why behind the homework and how to correctly fill out bubble sheets. The why behind the bubble sheets is really not about meeting our match, but about meeting the goal of why we were funded, and that is to prepare children and families for school. Through forming a partnership with families and engaging them, families learn about their child's development, and together we support the child's developing skill set. Teresa is going to bring up some samples of common errors on bubble sheets now. So before we address the errors, let's just take a look at the 6 boxes themselves. The top 3 boxes are the same. And in those top 3 boxes, we have identified the source for you, and you may choose from one of the sources. For Head Start and Early Head Start, you can choose from games or gold activities. So that's the learning games or the gold activities. Head Start, you have the additional resource of the math or the literacy materials. And you will either find those in print located in your classroom, or you can pull them from the intranet. Home visitors have another option, which is their PAT materials. Those are the only sources that can be used for the top 3 boxes. Box 4, you can pull from conscious discipline materials. That may be an I Love You ritual or other conscious discipline materials you found on the website or within sources in your classroom. Box 5 is the one box that you can use a different source as long as you identify the source and we can find the source if the auditor asks. And so in box 5, you would list the title of the activity and then the source, where that came from, and the objective that you are addressing for that child. And then box 6, that is the one box where parents can identify the activity that they're working on with their child. And they may choose an activity that supports the skill development that you're looking for supporting the child, or something else that they've identified. Once they write in the parent activity, then when it comes back to you, you write in the gold objective dimension that's being addressed before you send it to us. So let's take a look at the errors on this sheet. We can see in the top 3 boxes, they've made the same error. They have provided the name of the activity, but they have not identified the source. So by circling the source, we would be able to easily find that activity. So if this is a gold activity, they would just need to circle gold. Box 4 is correctly identified as a conscious discipline. It's dancing hands. We could easily find that here. Box 6, the parent wrote down reading books. Reading books is an allowable activity, but it is actually put on the back of this sheet. And so if a parent is reading books with a child, they can go to the back of the bubble sheet, the family reading bubble sheet, write down the date, the title of the book that they read, and then how many minutes they spent reading the book, okay? So reading books is allowable. It's just identified on the back. and not on the front of the bubble sheet. Let's take a look at another bubble sheet. Okay, in this bubble sheet, we can see that again, the teacher has identified, they actually have the number and the name of the activity on here, but they've not identified the source. And so going back, and if this is a learning game, circling games would provide the source. So the circle of the source is a quick fix on those two boxes. We can see that box 4 is correctly filled out. And then we go to box 6, where the parent has written in brushing teeth. Brushing teeth is important for every child. Unfortunately, if a child is not under active treatment for dental issues, we cannot count it. So in this case, Heather is not under any active treatment, and so we can't count brushing teeth. And that would be a simple conversation with the parents that while brushing teeth is important, and we're glad to see that they're doing it each day, unfortunately, we can't count it on this sheet. Now, let's say that Heather actually is receiving treatment from dentist. She's actively receiving treatment, and we can count brushing teeth. It would be a different conversation. If that child is with us for however many hours a day, we know that they brush with us once during the day. So they're likely brushing with the family twice a day. I'm not sure 60 minutes is going to be allowable. And so my conversation would be, gosh, I see that you're brushing teeth with your child, that you're actively doing that. And tell me what that looks like. How many times a day? And what does that look like from the time you start preparing the toothbrush to the time that you're rinsing the toothbrush off? My guess, if twice a day, it's going to be about 20 minutes total. And so that's what we'd want to count is that amount of time for brushing teeth. Okay, then we're going to look at the next bubble sheet. And we can see in the top 3 boxes, there are no errors. The teacher has identified the source, which is a gold in all 3 cases, and then has listed the activity. And so I know that we can go to gold, we can pull up drawing to music and be able to show the auditor. Box 5, she's listed the activity, has identified the objective, but not the source. And so where did that activity come from? Where could I find it? And so we need to know the source for box 5. And then box 6, the parent has written in writing my name. Writing my name, working on writing name is an allowable activity. In this case, though, we need to have the objective identified. So once the parent writes that activity, it comes back to you, and the teacher writes the objective that was being addressed. My guess is they're either addressing a literacy or a physical activity. Is it how they're grasping the crayon, pencil, pen, or is it the actual literacy piece in terms of writing the letters in the name, or is it both? And we could easily find out by saying, gosh, I see that you're working with Heather on writing her name. Tell me what that looks like. What were you hoping for in this case? Great, and also when you're doing that. So if they tell you we really want her to work, tell me what that looked like in terms of how the child was writing, holding the pencil. That could give you some information there. And so if in this case, we need that gold objective identified before it comes to central office, and then that error is corrected. And so those are a lot of the common errors that we see in the bubble sheets. And by correcting those, we can quickly identify what the activity is to the auditor. If you ever have any questions, you have a lot of support. You can reach out to Teresa, to myself, to Lisa Jo's who gets all of those bubble sheets and make sure that they're all correct. Or out in the field, almost on a daily basis, you have a FES or an area supervisor or a CDS that you can reach out to for help. And I truly believe that if they don't have the answer, they're going to find the answer for you. Okay, Well, good luck with building the relationships with families, and I am wishing you well.